So welcome back everybody, this is John with SwingFit. Today is a really cool day because not only do we have another great video teed up for you, but I'm joined by a special guest, and with today being Father's Day, this is a really cool one because this is my son Dakota and this is his first debut. So usually he's behind the scenes, and Dakota, just tell the world what you do.
Normally I'm behind the camera, I'm editing videos, and when I'm not doing that, I'm building golf clubs. But today, I'm out here and I'm freaking out.
So if you guys can't tell, Dakota's just a little nervous. So I'm going to really give him a simple task today, and we're going to actually respond to several of your questions in hopes of trying to get you the answers that you're searching for. So without further ado, let's jump in and find out what is on the top of your mind. So before we dive deep in your questions, I do want to let you know about a big announcement that we're going to be making sometime during this video. In fact, one of the questions we're going to tee up of how many?
40 questions.
All right, so we're going to have 40 questions, and one of them is going to tee up this big announcement, and you're not going to want to miss it because it is definitely a big one. And definitely, if you are interested in learning more about the club fitting process, and if that happens to be your first time, there's just a couple things you have to do in order to access this information. Dakota, you want to tell them?
Hit the subscribe button, turn on the bell so you get notified each week when we post a new video, and smash the like button below.
I mean, it's just that simple. Just like Dakota said, if you haven't subscribed yet, please do yourself a favor. Hit that subscribe button and turn on that bell. So let's jump into question number one.
All right, first question here. I always slice the golf ball. Can club fitting help?
There's absolutely options to help mitigate the slice, but here is the true secret. Is that club fitting alone isn't going to be able to kill the slice, because we really got to understand that there's definitely a major swing path issue, and where that face is pointing the opposite direction, that is why the slice is occurring. So it's part gear, right? So if we can help put something in your hands to get that face less to the right of your swing path, we can actually help it slice less and then turn it more into a fade or a cut. But generally speaking, if we don't fix the technique, you're always going to work that ball left or right. But how much it curves can be reduced by going through the club fitting process, so it's not a bad opening question.
Next question, high spin versus low spin shafts, can they help?
So this is kind of like a trick question, and I see a lot of our customers kind of fall into this trap. So definitely, guys, please understand this, is that there's really no such thing as a high spin shaft or a low spin shaft, at least from the club fitting perspective, right? Even regardless of what the shaft manufacturers say, right? You know, literally what the golf shaft will affect more than anything else is launch and strike point. If I'm really trying to kill spin, I'm going to actually use something else. I mean, I would actually even go to a golf ball more than I would a golf shaft in order to kill spin. So definitely, you know, guys, just think golf shafts affects launch, strike point, and you can't go wrong.
Question number 3, what is the best driver on the market today?
So we definitely have our favorites in the studio, and definitely our best sellers. And I mean, if you was to ask me, it was definitely Titleist, Ping. I mean, they continue to be great standouts for the studio. We do a lot of Callaway, Cobra, and heck, I mean, really, truth be told, there's really not a bad driver in the lineup this year. And we can take any head from any manufacturer, stack it up against each other, as long as it has the same characteristics, and it really be a good head-to-head fight. But the key thing is the best head is the one that's going to help you mitigate your pain point, right? Are you struggling with the slice? Are you struggling with the hook? You know, maybe it's a low spin knuckleball or a high spin launcher to the moon. You know, that's where a good fitter will be able to help narrow down the search process, so that way you're getting into the right head. So definitely it's another great question.
I'm new to golf, so should I wait to get fit?
This really does depend on where you are in your golfing journey. And I really kind of, my general rule of thumb is that the very minute that you can get club on ball and hit the ball in a direction, it doesn't matter if it's straight, right, or left, but I'm just talking a good solid contact, 4 out of 10, 5 out of 10. So we're talking about a 50% ratio here, then I would say you're a great candidate to go through the fitting process. But if you're still searching, still struggling, and you're catching everything off the toe, the hosel, and just nothing is coming off the tee box, then I would say definitely hold off, work on your technique a little bit longer, maybe even seek out the assistance of a swing coach to help develop a little bit more of your fundamentals, so that way you can get that consistency. And once again, we don't need to see perfection, we just need to see 4 out of 10, 5 out of 10.
Next question, which club should you get fit for first?
Without question, driver, putter, bookends of success. It's no fun being defensive off the tee box, and if you can't get that little ball in the cup, you're just going to have a bad day. So definitely driver, putter all day long. But obviously, whichever club is impacting you the most, where you're losing the most strokes, and if you're losing a lot of balls off the tee box and penalty strokes, start with the driver. But if you are 3-jacking everything, definitely break out the flat stick.
Next question. Does club fitting actually work?
1,000%, and twice on Sunday. We help our customers take our game to another level. It is not smoke and mirrors. Definitely go get fit if you haven't got fit.
Top 3 courses you want to play?
Ooh. All right, so without question, number 1 is St. Andrews, right? It's kind of like where golf started. I always want to play that one. Cypress Point, that's another good one, and Cabo, just because I've seen nothing but amazing pictures, Cabo de Sol, I want to actually play that one as well. So those probably be my top 3 courses.
Next question, I hit my 5-iron almost as far as my driver. Why?
All right, so definitely 5-iron. It's not uncommon for us, for people to say, hey, I hit my irons just as far as my woods. And really probably the simplest explanation I can offer is your spin loft. It's a pretty dang on good chance that you're hitting down on your driver just like you are with your irons, right? You're getting a very excessive AOA, so we're talking negative here, right? And that is great for irons because you get maximum compression, and you're probably adding a little too much dynamic loft. So even though that loft of that driver may be 9 or 10 degrees, there's a pretty good chance that because you're hitting down, that you got this low ball flight, so you try to mitigate that by flipping at the bottom, trying to lift the ball up in the air, and that's just creating an excessive spin loft window, which is just going to cause the ball to go nowhere. So pretty good chance that's what's going on.
Next question, what is your current handicap at?
A lot of people ask me this question, and you really think just because you work in the golfing industry that you got to be a scratch golfer, and really no secret, I am currently a 12 handicap, and I really can easily blame my sticks because I'm still waiting on my Tour 921s with a little softer shaft than that of what I'm currently gaming with my ZX7, ZX5 combo. But you know what, Mizuno, I don't know what the holdup is, but try to, help a brother out. Give me some new 921 tours so that way I can drop my handicap.
Question number 10. What is the smallest tweak that can produce the biggest change?
The smallest tweak and probably the easiest tweak a club fitter can do is change the swing weight. And this is really easy. We can actually just take lead tape, add it to a driver, add it to an iron head. A really simple, easy change outside of actually even just changing the golf ball. Golf ball can affect launch, can affect spin, and the swing weight affects the timing and just how clean and efficiently you get in and out of the turf. So, if you are struggling with a lot of turf interaction, pretty dang on good chance that not only is the golf shaft potentially the culprit, but it can actually just be as simple as swing weight, and you can actually run to your local sporting goods store and just get yourself a roll of high density lead tape, throw some lead tape on, see if it actually cleans it up.
Next question, what is the one thing you wish you could change in the club fitting world?
One thing I wish we can change, and actually, you know what? Yeah, let's tack this problem right now, and that is the golf shaft standardization issue, right? I'm talking about there is no standardization or uniformity across all of the golf shafts that's out there. So if you're actually working in the industry and you're a club fitter, you know exactly what I'm talking about when I'm about to say this, is that one shaft's manufacturers and how they classify it as being a stiff can be another manufacturer's regular or extra stiff, and just not being able to understand how one shaft compares to another without trial or error is really probably the hardest thing a club fitter has to overcome. And unless you're doing tons and tons of fits, it's almost next to impossible to really say, you know what, which way on the wall we need to go. So if there was something that we could change, right, that would be it.
Next question, how often should I upgrade my clubs?
The general rule of thumb is every 4 to 5 years, it might be in your best interest to upgrade or refresh your gear. And here's why. You know, you can truly capitalize on the little refinements and tunes and tweaks that the manufacturers made over a longer period of time, say 4 or 5 years, versus that of year over year. Just not that big of a difference, but a 4 or 5 year jump, that is a pretty huge jump. And if you're only replacing your driver every 4 to 5 years, I mean, do the math. You know, 5 divided by the cost of your driver, you really keep that cost down.
Next question, what has been the biggest accomplishment since you started fitting?
So this is our big announcement that we've been waiting to share with everybody. And the good news is we're not going to make you wait until the end of the video just in order to find out what's happening here at the studio. So without further ado, let me read you a letter that we received several weeks ago. And that is, let me be the first to congratulate you for being selected to Golf Digest 2021-22 America's 100 Best Club Fitters list. We have named your facility, SwingFit in Bunker Hill, West Virginia, to our prestigious biennial, biennial? All right, biennial ranking of the top places to go for custom fitting services and advice in the United States. And we couldn't be more excited to share it with you. And we did say it was going to be big news, right?
It's huge news, and we're also the unofficial #1 club fitters for all of West Virginia.
Right? And what he really means by that is that we are the only facility to make this year's list for the state of West Virginia. So that in itself is pretty cool. But what you may not know is what was the process in order to make this list. And the best way to describe this process is to compare it to that of the Pro Bowl selection process for the NFL. Because there's 3 key things that must happen in order to make the list. And that is, 1, you have to be nominated by your coaches. You have to actually receive enough votes from the fan base. And then last but not least, your peers, the guys that they play side by side with, will ultimately determine whether or not if they're worthy of making the Pro Bowl team. And this process is very similar to that, because what happened several months ago was we had to actually create a package, go through an interview process and respond to several different questions, and then our package was disseminated across 2,000 industry experts. I'm talking about the people that we work with side by side, you know, our vendors, the OEM reps, you know, the club fitting guys that, you know, we rub shoulders with. These guys ultimately determine whether or not if we were worthy of making the top 100, and this year is the year we finally made the list. So guys, let's get back to a couple of your other questions, and thank you again for your continued support.
Next question is, putter fitting really worth the time and investment?
Without question, we already kind of touched on this a little bit, you know, a couple questions ago, but the putter, the flat stick, will count for 30 to 40% of your total score. So if you really want to drop your score low, your handicap, there's no quicker way to do so than to get fit for your putter.
What is the most expensive club in the bag and why?
The 3-wood, right? And here we use a cost per stroke analysis in order to kind of make that determination. A 3-wood is something that you're going to use maybe 3 or 4 times in a given round, and at a cost of say $300 to $400. You know, that thing's costing you roughly $100 per stroke. So definitely the most expensive club in your bag.
Why is club fitting so expensive?
You know what? This is a big misconception, and we hear it all the time. You know, club fitting really isn't expensive, especially when you look at that 5-year return on investment that I just shared with everybody. And what I mean is, you know, if you divide your total cost for your custom fitted clubs by 5, that's going to be your total annual out-of-pocket expense. So it's not really expensive, especially when you factor in what somebody might be paying year over year, and it's going to pretty much be a dead even wash. So definitely, because you're not going to be buying new clubs year over year.
What is the most yards you ever helped someone gain in a driver fitting?
It was definitely a senior golfer And I want to almost say it was probably this time last year, because I remember getting the call after the customer, shot his first round, his first round in the 70s, and he was just blown away. Senior golfers are definitely taking advantage of hitting from the up tees, but he said, he wasn't getting any distance whatsoever. And we helped him pick up an extra 72 yards with the Ping 410 driver. So it wasn't even the 425 at the time, but it was the brand new Ping 410. And I think he even had like the Drago shaft in there, VA shaft. Really, really good combination, and helped him pick up 70 yards.
Next question. I'm thinking about getting into the business. How should I get started?
Definitely volunteer. There's no question you need experience, and the best way to gain that experience is volunteer time. Hit your wagon to somebody that's smarter than you. Go in, volunteer your time, act as an intern. Start out just working in the scheduling desk, whatever it may be, but you gotta work in the industry in order to gain that exposure, and then you can actually really just start your club fitting journey.
Next question. Have you ever hit a hole-in-one?
Yes, so I have hit a hole-in-one back 2014 maybe. Is at our local golf course that I'm a member of. Hole number 11, Boulder course, 115 yards, gap wedge in, blind pin. So didn't even know that I actually drained it. Spent 20, 30 minutes looking for my ball. Buddy I was playing with said, hey, go check the cup. As soon as I looked in the cup, I'm jumping around like a schoolgirl. Only hole-in-one. Funny story is, I almost drained another one on hole 17, dropped it 18 inches from the pin. Wedges was on fire that day, but haven't come close, since though.
Question number 20. Who are the easiest customers to fit?
Go back to my senior golfers. Absolutely love them. Those are where our biggest gains are, because you're losing speed. We can actually help you reclaim some of that with not only the golf shaft, but newer heads. Just help you hit the ball a little bit farther and just reclaim some of that lost distance. So definitely easiest ones.
Question 21. Who are the toughest customers to fit?
Junior golfers. Without question, swing is still developing, and really we see a lot of junior golfers just changing their swing from swing to swing. So they're really still trying to not only just be like Bryson DeChambeau and hit the ball a country mile on every single swing, over swinging for sure, but junior golfers definitely, are the hardest.
Next question. Technique versus fitting.
You need both. It's Indian or the arrow. You definitely need both. You need the right gear to promote the best feels in order to execute your technique correctly. I'm a big believer that, the gear has a greater influence on how you execute said technique. Without having properly fit gear, it's harder to do so, and it's really just going to help you get the most out of it, but you do need both.
How long have you been in the industry and fitting clubs?
So we're going on 14 years now. First 7 building clubs. We started out in our basement, or actually started out in our garage, tinkering around and building golf clubs. Then we moved to the basement. And then the last 7 years, actually fitting clubs. First launch monitor was a flight scope, right? Definitely a flight scope. So cool stuff.
What was the hardest thing to overcome when starting out?
So when we started out, I guess I'm assuming like starting out fitting golf clubs and stuff. Getting brand recognition, right? Getting OEMs in your fitting matrix, So if you're new to the fitting industry and you're trying to get in, the hardest thing that you're going to have to overcome is getting someone to trust you that you can do what you say you can do. For the first 4 years, we had Cobra and Strixon. That is it. Nobody else would even give us a fighting chance. And it wasn't until we moved into our new facility a little over 3 years ago before more manufacturers jumped on board. But yeah, Cobra, Strixon, thank you guys for staying with us so long. So definitely you guys have been, with us the longest.
Question 25. What separates good fitters from bad fitters?
I really don't think there's such thing as a bad fitter. I will chalk it up to a lack of experience and a lack of options, because I will tell you, as we expanded our matrix, I think that has only made us better, makes us more well-rounded. We know exactly how the heads compare to one another. We know how certain shafts perform with certain heads. And the more options we have, it just made us a little bit more versatile, that we can actually, pick and choose different components and play the match game. So definitely, I don't think there's such thing as a bad fitter. It's just, a lack of experience. So before we jump into a couple more of your questions, I do want to take a quick second to see if you are finding value. So if you're still with us, do me a favor, smash that thumbs up, leave any questions or comments in the remarks below, and let us know if there's any specific questions that you might have that we're not addressing here. So let's get back into it.
Next question is, what is the biggest misconception in club fitting today?
That it's the secret sauce or the silver bullet, and just because you go through the club fitting process, you're never going to hit a bad shot. I mean, it's not all of our customers, but we do get a good bit of customers that feel that just because they go through the club fitting process, they're going to just be perfect.
Next one, should I let the factory build my clubs or should I get them custom built?
Custom built, 7 days a week, 3 times on Sunday. Basically, at the end of the day, think of it like this. Most of the major OEMs have assembly lines, and I'm talking, we've actually witnessed and went on OEM tours and watched them build their golf clubs, and anywhere between, say, 15 to 20 different sets of hands will touch a single golf club. I mean, so that's a lot of opportunities for someone to make a mistake or have a bad day, where if you go the custom built route, you're usually going to, how many people's building our clubs?
I am the only person you can blame if something is wrong with our clubs.
So one person. So literally, if he has a bad day, then I have to go around and check just to make sure that is okay. But at the end of the day, it's just one person having a bad day versus 20. So we were able to minimize our risk.
Next question, more wedges or less wedges?
More wedges. Big fan on wedges. You guys know me by now, especially if you watch any of your other content. I'm a big fan of 3 to 4 wedges in your bag. Just gives you more options around the greens to be that versatile ninja.
What has been the most expensive fit you've ever done?
Now, I remember it well, north of $7,000. Now, caveat is, this was a customer that needed 2 sets of clubs. So we fit him once, and he wanted 2 sets of clubs, identical clubs that is, one for his home and one for his vacation spot. So really, really cool build. We had to actually ship him to his vacation spot. But yeah, $7,000, big payday.
Should I stick with one brand or is it okay to mix it up in the bag?
Without question, we're a big proponent of building bags of Skittles, and that's just in a way of saying just play a TaylorMade driver, a Scotty Cameron putter, maybe some Mizuno irons, and maybe some Vokey wedges. I mean, it's just play whatever is going to give you the best opportunities to get up and down, and just play your absolute best golf. Don't pigeonhole yourself and just stick with one brand.
Next question, I'm looking to get fit. Should I go to a club fitting chain or an independent fitter, and why?
You can't really go wrong with either one, as just as long as you go through the fit process, right? So, but I will say that the downfall with some of the big club fitting chains is that's going to be where your biggest expense is, because that's where the most overhead exists. You're going to pay the highest cost for fitting fees, build fees, and there's going to be a pretty significant markup on the clubs itself. Where if you go to an experienced independent, you can actually probably get your best deal. You might even be able to barter with them, or you kind of negotiate the price down a little bit, because there's a little bit more flexibility. But definitely seek out an experienced independent fitter with a lot of options, and somebody with maybe 2 to 3 years of experience under their belt can definitely help you get the same result.
This next question should be pretty straightforward. Does the golf ball matter?
100%. Go get fit for your golf balls. Most club fitting companies now are doing golf ball fits. Why? Because we see that big of improvement just by swapping out the golf ball. So definitely go get fit for golf balls.
What's your favorite club in the bag?
My MD5 5812X. Without question, that is my Swiss Army knife. I hit that thing off hard pan, beach like sand, clay like sand. That thing is just so versatile. Even with the 12 degrees of bounce, just with that versatile grind, I can open that thing up and just fillet the best of the balls. So really love my 5812.
Next question. Best technique or fitting advice for anyone who wants to play better golf?
Best technique or fitting, you definitely need both. So let's just think from a technique perspective, okay? So develop a pre-shot routine, right? So definitely pre-shot routine, you should always be looking at where you're hitting the ball, right? Get the tension out of your golf swing. So definitely establish that. If you don't have one, you need to have one. Second thing will be is swing with less effort. Develop a swing where you can actually tame your tempo. We see so many different times where golfers are just swinging out of their shoes harder than what they need to. Think of your golf swing very much like a roller coaster, nice and slow to the top, then let all hell break loose and swing. But definitely slow that tempo down. That's going to help out a lot. And then probably last but not least is turn the thinking engine off. Right? We see a lot of customers come in, they stand over top the ball way too long. And literally when you do that, just all these thoughts come into your mind and you're thinking about every single piece of advice and coaching instruction you may have received throughout your career. And it's just, it's all jumbling together and it's doing you more harm than good.
Last question for tonight. What do you think about online fittings?
Nice way to kind of close off this one here is online fittings. Really nothing wrong with online fittings. I'm still a firm believer that in-person fittings is your best course of action to know for certain, take out the guesswork, and really try things side by side. We really need to see the data and what happens when we do pair certain shafts and heads together. But from an online perspective, as long as you're using some type of feedback, right? And that means is that you need to have access to a launch monitor and you need to be sharing that with the online fitter, right? He's got to be able to know what is going on with your swing, not just what you perceive. So as long as you have access to a launch monitor and you can share that data with that fitter, they can get you really, really damn close. And my buddy up in Canada has got a pretty mature online fitting process right now, and he can actually get you really dialed in pretty damn close. So definitely there's nothing wrong with it as long as you're using a launch monitor. So in closing, we truly hope you found value in this information we share with you tonight. And if by chance we didn't answer any of your questions, do me a favor. Leave them in the remarks below and we will respond to every single question. And who knows, you just might be featured in an upcoming Q&A video. But until next week, Dakota, is there any parting words you want to share with our fan base?
First of all, I'm very glad we're at the end of this video. But more importantly, if you're struggling with your golf game, and you've tried this and that, and nothing really seems to work, go through the fitting process because a fitter might just be able to help you suck a little bit less.
All right, guys, so you heard it from the horse's mouth. Go seek out a fitter so that way you can suck less. So, guys, until next week, take a look at one of these videos over here to the side because we just might be able to help you suck a little bit less. So, guys, thanks for watching.